Hi, this is Mike, and I'm here with my friend Janet.
Hello.
And we're going to do a little role playing today. We're both coaches, and I've been in business for myself for about a decade and a half. And Janet,
I come out of a long track record in commercial banking, and now I'm an independent consultant and coach.
yeah, so together we're going to play the role of somebody going into the bank and seeking new financing, ask some questions that are important, and you can see the results. So, Janet, I need to borrow a bunch of money. Let's say I need to borrow $250,000 to grow my business. Um,
So, Mike, what do you need that money for?
Well, I guess I don't know how to answer the question. Do you want me to provide a giant dog and pony show with flares and fireworks, or would you rather see a concise 1 or 2 page proposal? What's appealing to you?
Whether it's a big dog and pony show or a concise proposal, well thought out, thorough, and clear is the most important thing. But in today's busy life for every professional, probably concise and clear is best, unless you're borrowing up way into the millions.
Okay, well that sounds good. And in my personal experience working with your previous employer, that was the case. A page or two was wonderful for them. And just in case, I did remember also when I came in to meet you, I brought my tax returns and my projections. So I want to borrow this money. I'm not really concerned about paying it back, but you're probably concerned about when I'm going to pay it back. What do you want to know?
Well, we'd like to know exactly what you're going to use the money for, when you need to borrow it, and then how you're projecting to pay it back based on your increased profitability. Because what we're really looking for is a margin of error there. The bigger the margin of error, and the more comfortable the bank is. And if you can repay the loan based on just your historical earnings, and the project itself doesn't even have to work, so much the better.
Oh, that's great. Now, would it make sense for me to come in and say, hey, I need all $250,000 up front, or would you prefer to dole it out in bite-sized pieces?
Well, that's one of those it depends answers.
Okay.
If it's not too difficult and you can project when you're going to need the money, the bank would prefer to dole it out,
Okay.
as long as it's not an administrative nightmare.
Okay.
We'd like to minimize your borrowing cost and risk.
Well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we get through those two things. You still seem interested.
Yes.
I'm excited to move forward. What's your next question for me?
What's your fallback plan if this doesn't work?
Well, and obviously one of the things that small business owners are probably accustomed to, or they will become accustomed to if they haven't borrowed yet, is that you'll probably want a personal guarantee.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, in most small businesses, the business owner is inseparable from his company because he or she is the lifeblood that created it, and the business would not operate in the same form or fashion if that person disappeared tomorrow.
All right. And, you had explained it to me in another way before, too, talking about how with this money I could make potentially hundreds of times, or at least multiple times return. But what's the margin for the bank on this money?
Right. The bank is earning 2, 3, 4% gross margin, if you will.
Wow.
Whereas your upside return hopefully is 20, 50, 100%.
Sounds great to me. What else? What other questions might you have before we left?
My final question would be, why should I trust you or believe you that this would work?
Okay. How can I prove that? I mean, are there things on paperwork that I should bring in that might prove that I have a good track record of dealing with the bank or debt?
Sometimes just being able to explain your history in business, provide some references that you've done business with in the past, and then looking at your personal credit history and your business's credit history are all of the building blocks we need to look at to determine that. The most important one, and I think the biggest surprise for most business owners, is that how they've handled their personal credit in the past really is a major determinant of how the banks make a decision about whether or not you are a trustworthy borrower.
Oh, well, that makes sense. And it seems like if we prepare well for the meeting, that it can go well and quickly. How long does it usually take a bank to make a decision on a loan like that?
That answer has changed a lot in recent years. So highly dependent on the institution.
All right. Well, very good. Folks, Janet and I are coaches, and I'd like Janet to just take a moment and tell you about what she does in her coaching business.